Let's start off with Ashton Jeanty. He's our consensus number one running back. Max, what did you see out of Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State?
The film, the regular film was like a highlight tape. There's not very the things you don't like are all nitpicks in my opinion. Even the things I don't like is a nitpick. What I saw, really good speed, good ability to make cuts, jump cuts. His vision is really good. He's short, but man, he's not built like a skinny guy. He's like built like a brick shithouse. The contact balance is arguably the best I've ever scouted. It is the best. He will force the issue. He's just like, I'm gonna go here and you're gonna have to tackle me. He's a workhorse. He seems to get stronger the more carries he gets. He's not afraid to pick up blitzes. Violent runner. Breaks a lot of, the most broken tackles in a college season ever. Now, the nitpicks. The Penn State game was rough, but I think Boise State was just outclassed. And there's one big issue is ball security. He does fumble from time to time. But that's partly, it's like he's working so hard. I've got to break every tackle. I need every yard I can get. And they're just digging at the ball, right?
Yeah.
So he'll learn. I think that issue will be cleaned up. There is one big con. He doesn't make a lot of people miss. And that scares me. Not because he's not good. It's because how many car crashes are we going to get into? That's what scares me. And I don't know. You're going to argue with me. He breaks tackles. You can check my grade. It's high.
Mm-hmm.
But do you see him make people miss?
I do.
And there's a difference. I'm sorry. I just want to put one more thing. There's a difference between, I juked somebody out in the open field, or I just ran somebody over. Or someone tackled me and he just couldn't get me down. That's my thing. That's my criticism.
I would say this. I get what you're saying. Because we talked before these. We get a good little gauge on what we're thinking while we're evaluating. And you told me that was the first thing you told me. Ashton Jeanty, do you think he makes guys miss? Because I don't think he does. And I was like,
well, no, you immediately were like, you're crazy. And I was like, no. I say he breaks tackles, but does he make people miss?
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh.
In the open field, he doesn't make guys miss. Like the Barry Sanders, gonna shake a guy up. Yeah, dead leg someone. No, he does not. Not completely, though. I've seen him do it, but not all the time. Part of the reason he didn't have to. Why would you when you have that strength to break tackles?
That's like 9 times out of 10, he's like, okay, see you, safety. I'm just going to run through you.
Right.
But my point by being worried by that is, are we going to be okay in 2 years, 4 years, 5,
I mean, that's the thing with running backs in general. You always got to look at the lifespan of these guys. Regardless.
Had a lot of touches.
Yeah, and this is going to come up because this is not a guy that's getting talked about in the second round, like a Derrick Henry back in the day. We're talking about this guy being a top 10 pick and possibly even a top 5.
Let me beat that. It's not happening. And that's not indicative of the player. That's indicative of the position. If some team takes this guy in the top 10, you're stupid. You're stupid. I've been hearing a lot of people say this. Do you want your running back to go on a crap team? Or do you want to make the most out of his carries? That's the thing you got to do. Get him somewhere outside the top 10 on a good little team. Like, imagine he goes to the Broncos. You're like, oh, my God. But if he gets drafted by the Browns, what happens, Juan? It doesn't matter. You can have Saquon Barkley behind the world's worst O-line. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's my point. And again, when we do our big board, I'm sure he'll be a top 10 talent. He's not a top 10 pick. And that's only because of position. And we have to fight that narrative because you're going to be happy the Raiders take him at 6? You're going to be like, oh, yeah, definitely. Let's get a running back. You just said, the guy's at 9. I'm not like, ooh, this is so bad.
Mm. Yeah. Look, my whole thing is...
I'm a hater.
No, you're not a hater.
I just know. I already know the comments are going to go for it.
Look, first of all, I just want to say, talking about him as the prospect, just reiterate, absolute finisher. He gives me Marshawn Lynch vibes. That's who popped out on the tape for me.
Yeah.
And this guy's body, pause, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, you saw the picture, right?
Yes, it's it's absolute. He's shredded.
Yeah, built like a brick shit house.
And his legs, he got the Quadzilla AJ Dillon type quads and legs, man. He is thick all the way. So he's not one of these guys where it's speed. It's crazy.
He's got good speed, but it's not.
It's more of agility, and that's where I come from. I seen Saquon Barkley type agility in the line of scrimmage. Saquon Barkley has this very good jump cut to him where he doesn't lose any speed. He can stop on a dime and accelerate to the hole. That's what Ashton.
I think
Jeanty
he's got good acceleration for
and
sure.
I think that's what teams look at, and that's what makes him special. As far as like, oh my god, like this guy's a freak athlete. Like it's insane, and I wouldn't say he's crazy like, breakaway speed, but he has enough juice.
What do you gauge his 40 at? If you were going to just put a number,
I'll say a 4.4.
Yeah, I said 4.45 to 4.5, somewhere in there. He's not a burner like Gibbs.
No, he's not a burner.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
You think he's faster than Bijan Robinson?
I think he's almost the same speed.
I think he's a little faster, a little more twitchy.
Yeah, Bijan didn't have this type of power.
No.
Yeah, Jeanty just has a generational type power.
I said my player comp is some Josh Jacobs mixed with Marshawn Lynch mixed with like Darren Sproles bite size. It's like crazy.
It's so weird because he's built like Doug Martin, right?
Yeah.
That's
a great
build.
one.
Yeah, that's the build. And then he has the agility of an LT, LaDainian Tomlinson. That's how much praise. And he has the power and running style once he gets banging of Marshawn Lynch. That's what literally I put. I put LT mixed with Marshawn and Doug Martin's body.
So would you say there's some Zeke Elliott in him coming out, like with the power, like the where defense is down type thing?
No, I think it's more different? Marshawn. I think it's a little bit different. I think Zeke is more like he was always falling forward, and that was more of his game. I don't think he had as much power as Jeanty and Marshawn. I think it's just a different vibe. Now, going into the value of the pick, like you were talking about, I do think he is a top 10 pick at 10. I think there's only one team that's able to have this luxury and pick him, and it's the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
That's the one team. Every other team before that, really the Raiders, like, it's depending on what you got. You got to look yourself in the mirror. We're not there in the building every day. I'm just going to tell you from the outside looking in, from a diehard Raider fan, I don't think we have it to support him. I think we have a long ways to go. Would it be nice to have him? Would it be trash like Saquon as far as
I think it'd be a little better.
I think it'll be a little bit better, but I do think you're reaching at that point, And if you think this guy's a generational guy, like a Derrick Henry, pick him. Okay. I get it. Like you feel a little bit more highly about the offensive line than I do. Knock yourself out. Okay, it wouldn't be that crazy. I wouldn't lose my mind over it. Now, if you say Cleveland picked them, like a team that's a little bit more behind the eight ball, that I feel like from the Raiders,
yeah, no, it's
a waste. It's a waste.
I want to talk about one more thing before we move on. His receiving ability is way better than it shows on film. If you go back to 2023, he had like 600 yards receiving. Yeah, he's there. He can do it. Yeah. I like him. First round pick.
I want to say this as far as another 2 more points on the whole top 10 thing. So a lot of people don't know, when you pick a guy in the top 10, those salaries are already sealed into place. So it doesn't matter if you're running back, it doesn't matter if you're a kicker. If you pick a guy in the top 10, Max.
Well, any position in the
No.
Are you talking about
in the top 10, it's different. In the top 10, you get a set salary. Now, the set salaries are like that regardless, but they still go based off position. So if you pick a running back at 11, the difference between 10 and 11, it's a different salary, not just because of the pick. That's something I found out recently.
Oh, no.
So that's even more of a reason why that you should get your value, because you're picking up a position that, 1, is a running back, and 2, you're going to be paying them more money for a top 10 pick. And it's not a position value. Like it kind of doesn't really make sense. So that's why, like, Chicago, it is in a tough fucking place, because, like, maybe we can get this guy at like 12 or 13 just to save some money, And then another point, this running back class is stacked.
Yeah, like you said.
You can get a guy pretty close to Jeanty with Amarian Hampton, Henderson, Scadaboo, Tootin, Caleb Johnson, whatever. You can find a way in the 3rd, 2nd round, and as deep as like the 7th round. There's going to be some 7th round guys and a lot of undrafted free agents that are going to show up. And a lot of fantasy guys are going to be like, who the fuck is this guy? He's going to burst onto the scene. That's how deep the running back class is. So when you're talking about value, it's hard to argue. It really is. It depends on what team's going to pick them. And to me, like I said, Chicago, get them. I think they have the best case scenario. Got a quarterback. They got to improve offensive line.
Yeah.
They got a new head coach.
Ben Johnson loves to run the ball.
Ben Johnson loves to run the ball. And once upon a time, a couple years ago, Everyone was shocked about the Jahmyr Gibbs pick.
We were.
No one cares. No one even talks about.
Well, we were wrong. Yeah,
we were all wrong. Yeah. I didn't speak to a single person that thought that pick was great. Nobody. Yeah. Maybe a Lions fan.
Yeah, no.
But we were wrong, and nobody gives a fuck about it no more.
Correct.
Okay, so Chicago pick Ashton Jeanty. Let's show our grades for Ashton. I had him as a 90.5 top 15 pick, and Max had him as a 89. So very close. He has him as a top 15 pick. We value guys a little bit different, but he's a beast, bro.
This isn't the talent level. This is where I expect him to get picked, because where your talent is and where you get picked are two different things.
Yes.
Big dreams, everything ain't what it seems. Glittering gold, both ways. Not on my team. This organic, we don't buy